I'm so happy to be back with Dr. Filidei. So we did a
Glad
couple
to be
of
back.
Yeah, we did a couple of vlogs. Last one on GERD did amazingly well. So we've got some great questions, and today I asked you to come back because I get questions about mold, and I don't really know that much about it. I know Daniel's dad got really sick because of it,
Right.
but I don't know enough about it to really field that question. So I know you treat a lot of it.
Yeah, so it's actually a really big problem, a very common problem. So again, the benefit of what we have too, one of the tools I have is the scan. So if somebody comes in and their scan doesn't look good, I got to figure out why that is. And so there's a long list of things I look for, like infections and toxins, and mold is always one of the questions I ask. So I'll ask virtually all my patients, have you ever lived or worked in a place that had a water leak? Was there a roof leak or a toilet leak or your basement flooded? You'd be amazed at how many people say, oh yeah, that happened a year ago, or we just had to rebuild our room somewhere. It's a big problem, and these mold toxins are really bad for your brain.
So what does a scan look like with somebody who has been exposed to mold? And is there a general pattern, or is it?
Not really a specific pattern. We can just see it doesn't look healthy. So it'll look what we call scalloping.
Okay, so it sort of has that like bumpy look.
The bumpy look, yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of people, one of the biggest complaints they have is brain fog. So I can't think, I can't focus. It could be an ADD kind of picture, or you just feel spacey.
Okay.
Another word for it is derealizations. People literally sometimes don't even feel like they're in reality because they have
weird.
this spaciness. So mold exposure can be either just the physical aspect of it, like allergies, so coughing,
Daniel's
runny
dad,
nose.
we thought he had pneumonia. Well, he got pneumonia, but it wasn't going away, and it kept getting worse
Right.
and worse and worse. His lungs were so bad, and then his
So
heart.
that's a big symptom of a bad mold problem in your house is you're sneezing, you got runny, allergy kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And
they
then
had
when
to
you
move out
leave
for
your
months.
house, you feel better. They had a really bad problem in their
Right.
house. So there's the physical aspect of the mold, which is just irritating. And then there's the toxic aspect. And not all mold makes toxins, but many do. And those toxins are really bad for your brain. They can cause weird neurologic symptoms like pain down your arm and legs, and nobody can figure out why you have these weird pains.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And it's estimated that about 50% of the buildings in the U.S. are what we call WD, water-damaged buildings.
Wow.
So that's a lot of buildings, right? And this might be in your house or your school or your apartment or your office.
Well, I remember about 15 years ago when I was selling a house and buying another house, and the realtor was asking all these questions about water leaks, and I'm like, why all the questions about water leaks? He goes, oh, right now, mold is gold. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He goes, mold is gold. He goes, people can sue you, like, if you don't disclose that you've had a water leak. That was the first I had ever heard of that at that time.
Yeah.
And so since then, now we've learned so much about mold. So yeah, it's a big deal. So how do you test for it?
So there's no great way to test for it. There are blood tests you can do that kind of hint that you've had it. There are certain things that go up and down. They're not direct mold tests. You can do a direct mold test in the urine, so a mycotoxin test.
Okay.
But really important is to check your house.
Oh, okay.
So you can do home testing. And what you were just speaking of is interesting because I had patients that they know about this issue with the real estate problem. And I had one guy, really bad memory problems, really bad scan, really bad mold problem, didn't want to get any official testing done just because he couldn't sell his
he didn't want
house.
to sell his house.
Right, and so the same aspect, the flip side of that is landlords will flat out lie about mold exposure.
And I've actually seen that a lot.
Because they don't want to pay for anything. So it can be a really big problem. So the testing can be problematic too, but there are ways to check: blood tests, urine tests, and you can treat it. Rule number one, get out of the moldy situation. Now another thing that a lot of doctors don't know, and I've lectured on this to other doctors too, is it's in food. So some of you folks may have heard of Dave Asprey, Bulletproof Coffee. He made the movie Moldy. So he's well aware of this in coffee, but it turns out it's in a whole bunch of food. Grains are notorious. Anything that's sitting around
cereal.
in storage.
I'd always heard cereal is
Cereal
a big one,
is
which
big.
you shouldn't be eating anyways.
Right. Another reason not to eat grains is mold, because probably the highest concentration of mold contamination is
because they store it.
Stored grains.
They store it in those big silo things for months. So
anything that's stored for a while, coffee beans. Wheat and corn are really bad too. 80% of the wheat and corn in the U.S. has multiple mycotoxins in it. We know this. And they feed animals this stuff.
Peanuts do too, yeah. Especially because they grow back over into the ground, and they've got the shell, and they just...
And they're also sitting around. And that's one place where you actually don't want organic. You don't want organic peanut butter, for instance, because
interesting.
it can sit around.
I did not know that. I just learned something.
So they don't use fungicide, which, you know, prevents the mold growth, but then you've got moldy peanuts, which can kill you.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, a lot of kids in, I think it was Indonesia, actually ended up with liver cancer because of moldy peanuts.
Who knew?
Aflatoxin is one of the most...
Aflatoxin I knew about.
One of the most carcinogenic products,
So that's why you don't want to
have
have organic peanut butter.
Right.
I didn't know that about the organic.
Sometimes organic isn't so good, you know, for some things like that. But peanuts you don't want really anyway,
No,
turns out.
they're not that great. Almond butter's better.
Almond butter's way better.
Okay, so tree nuts, they're grow
Tree
up
nuts, and yeah, peanuts have a very long chain fat that's actually not good for you for other reasons.
higher. Right, so the peanut oil
Right.
is not great. Okay, so good. What else do we need to know about mold? So you can get it tested, you can get it treated. You want to test your house. It's in grains, it's in houses that have been exposed to water. Is there anything else we should know? I know people can reach you if they need to reach you.
Yes, so I do the testing, and I've had patients come to me, and it turns out certain complexes, like building complexes, are known to have this issue. I had 6 people come to me independently for mold problems. They're all from the same complex and didn't know about each other. So it can be in your environment, especially if you're having these brain fog
and I know
problems.
places like Hawaii, I know a lot of people have issues just because of the weather. I mean, it just doesn't go away. It's just all you have to do is open their closet. Blankets and shoes and things like that are covered with this mold.
Now, generally, some people say, I live in Tucson, there's no way I have mold, it's too dry here. Wrong. All you need is a drip, right? So if you got a wall, plumbing behind the wall with a little drip, you're going to have mold. Now, other environments are way more prone, like you mentioned, Hawaii and Florida. Those are generally not toxic molds that are growing out like that. It can be, but...
Now, can you get something to dry the air out? Can you have like a...
Dehumidifier.
So like you get a humidifier in certain places, you want a dehumidifier.
Exactly. A lot of people, in those environments know that, and they'll put that in their garage. I mean, their basement. We call them garages out here. We don't have a lot of basements in California. So yeah, those are another big source.
Interesting. Okay, so people, I know, because I have people ask all the time, you do functional medicine, which I am a huge fan of.
Right.
So if people want to reach you, they can have Skype appointments if they're not local. You can, email me, find me on Facebook, or just leave a comment below, and we will have someone get back to you. But if they want to have a Skype appointment with you, they can.
Absolutely, do it all across the country.
So I love this. I don't have answers to everything, but I've got really cool resources. So thank you for joining us on this one.
You bet. Glad to help.
And any other questions you have that I can't personally answer, leave comments below on what you want to know about. I'll have you back.
Glad
so if
to
there's
come
anything
back.
else you know that's a big issue that you want to talk about, or if my community has things they want to talk about, we'll address it.
Yeah, we have yet to talk about some interesting stuff like Lyme disease. Who knew?
Oh yeah, we need to do Lyme. We haven't done that yet,
I don't think we've done that one.
We've got to do Lyme. All right, sounds good.
Right.
Thanks.